Good morning and welcome back to BIFA TV, your daily dose of industry information. Today marks 10 years since the Brexit referendum, and in these years, members have struggled with the challenges and the changes of the industry. 10 years on, we're joined by Steve and Pawel to tell us how the industry has adapted to keep trade moving. So, Steve, looking back, what were the biggest challenges that forwarders faced after Brexit?
Well, I think there were two things really. It was knowing what the regulation was going to be. What were we going to do to move freight across the border between the EU and the UK, and how were we going to do that? And then when we got some idea about how that was going to work, it was then about resource. How could we recruit the numbers of people we needed? How could we train them? How could we make them ready? How could we make sure that as an industry that we could cope with the changes that we're bringing and the extra volumes that the Brexit deal was going to give us.
So, how did the industry and the government work together to support businesses with the new trade?
I want to say that overall and historically, it was even before Brexit, we had a very good working relationship with the civil service, the government, especially departments like HMRC, but also DBT, Department for Business and Trade. So that helped us in many ways because working together with those departments, we try to work out the sort of the best practice, the best solutions legally and practically, because at the end of the day, it was about implementation. It's about making that work at the border. In addition to that, I think it's important to say that we as trade representatives, we work much closer together than we had before Brexit, the referendum, the actual departure from the EU. So that sort of working relationship with governments, the new sort of found friendships in many ways helped us. And, we just brought that sort of practical perspective as well.
And what role did members play in helping to keep trade moving during that time?
I think our members were absolutely crucial. When all this changed, we need to keep products moving across the border. Our members learned how to do that very efficiently and very quickly, and keep industry turning. It wasn't only, foodstuffs and finished goods, but parts that our manufacturers needed to keep manufacturing. And we learned and we adapted, and we found some resilience in all of that and kept the border going. If you remember, just before Brexit, everybody said, we're going to have queues of lorries all up the M20 and all that sort of stuff. Actually, that didn't happen, and it didn't happen in very large part because our members embraced what was going on and made it work.
And then looking back at the last 10 years, what achievements would you say forwarders should both be proud of?
Well, we kept goods moving. I think that's really important because when you realise how profound the change we went through since 2016, the referendum, and then obviously the subsequent preparations, discussions, consultations, and so on and so forth, the landscape has changed dramatically. Then we had to deal with new systems. It's very important from our perspective as freight forwarders and customs agents very often. It wasn't only Brexit for us, it was also CDS, it was a number of other systems that we had to start working with or implement or explain to our customers. And then we had really complex scenarios like Northern Ireland, the Winter Framework, and working alongside two regimes in many ways and to two tariffs. So as you sort of think about it, it's a hugely complicated and complex landscape. And I think we've built a very resilient industry. I'd like to think it's more resilient than it was, and it was already resilient when we started.
And of course, now we're 10 years on. What lessons were learned and helped to prepare the industry to be stronger?
I think the industry has learned how to be resilient and to perform. Not only have we had Brexit in the last 10 years, but we've had a pandemic and all of that's brought for us, and we've learned how to manage that and how to ensure the country keeps running, keep product moving across the border. I think for BIFA, a lesson for us is how far up the decision-making chain can we get? So now we're engaging with government because we want to be able to be maybe not part of the process, but part of the understanding of what's coming out so that we can alert our members to those changes as early in the process as is possible, maybe even influence the process. So I think there was a lot of learning, a lot of good learning. We proved as an industry we can be supportive and we can be able to keep freight moving, and that's obviously crucial, and we'll take that forward.
Sure. That's great, Steve. Thank you so much for joining us this morning with this update.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
10 years on, the trading landscape continues to evolve, but the role of the freight forwarder is more important than ever. Members can stay up to date on the latest industry guidance via our website and our mailing list. We'll put a link to both of those in the description. That's all for today's edition of BIFA TV, your daily dose of industry information.